Hey, what's up, everybody? Chad Shanks, the Bike-Geek. We are taking a look at the 2021 men's Category 3 Saturday Tulsa Tough course. And this was a comeback for me 2-3 years ago, losing track of my years because of COVID. I was involved in that horrific crash on the start-finish straightaway. Lots of guys went down. Several of us had to go to get stitched up and whatnot. A few broken collarbones, a lot of broken bike parts. So going into this race, I certainly had a lot of reservation this whole weekend. This was the first time coming back to this race venue after that year. So the next year I actually was sick, and the year after that was COVID. So first time back. And the course is under construction this year, you can see. And so going up to the Sound Pony Hill here, this building on the left is new. I don't actually know what it is, but so there's a wall on the left-hand side, some chain link fence now. And so there was a little bit of hesitation about that. There was some, buzz in the peloton about, oh man, I wonder what it's going to be like. It was already tight before, so that was new also. But the course overall is generally the same. So same layout, same streets, all that stuff, same fast pace. So I had let's see. I think I had one teammate in the field today because my teammate Aaron got taken out in a crash Friday night and had to have his lip stitched up and broke a tooth. So he was out today, rightfully so. And so it was just myself and Will Nollert. And after seeing how Friday went, we knew that we just had to play what we could when we could. And we didn't have any delusions going into this. It's like 125 riders in this field or something like that. It was massive. And it's really, unless you're just a standout rider that's ready to upgrade automatically, it's a crapshoot, no doubt about it. And there's a lot of wrong that can happen. So we wanted to come out this weekend with our skin. We felt good about our fitness going into the weekend in general, but there was definitely an unknown factor that we could not prepare for, and that is going into this weekend, nobody was ready for the heat. I don't remember what the temperature was for the day, but it was like a real feel index of like 104, 106 or something insane. The humidity was like 96% or something. And I do horrible in the heat. So we literally had not ridden in heat one single day going into this race. And as was the case for lots of other riders in the field. And if you were watching over the weekend, what you would notice is several riders would start, and every lap there would be 5 less, there would be 10 less, there would be 5 less, there would be 20 less. And before the race was even halfway over, you would see just the field exploding. And if you look at my rear cam right now, it's already starting to shell. We're just getting started. But it's just so freaking hot that no one was ready at all. So I've heard lots of stories now from different riders of riders like passing out on their bikes and having to go to the hospital to get an IV and just all kinds of craziness. And it was that way on Sunday as well, which I'll upload that eventually also. So we just knew, let's try to stay in as long as we can. Hopefully we'll make it to the end. So we put the ice packs in. We put ice in the bottles. We tried to stay out of the sun as much as possible. Did all the right things. But the heat doesn't play. That's for sure. So the goal was just to try to stay smooth and, try to keep the speed and smoothness, as high as possible and hope for the best. So, but right away, you can see like my heart rate's already at 155, 156. Like early on in the race, I was seeing higher heart rates than I had seen at all of our group rides, leading up to this, which was an indicator that, in the power relative to the heart rate was pretty low. So, clearly getting affected by the heat. Now, there were some riders from like South Texas and Arizona and, California. They didn't struggle with the heat. They had no problems. But us, on the other hand, we definitely were hurting for sure. So got a rider coming backwards. Looks like probably a flat tire. That looks like Dempsey, which was actually one of the riders that we knew to watch out for. He had a ton of upgrade points and had won the night before. And it's now July 30th that I'm making this video. I can say that he has been upgraded to a Cat 2, and none of us were surprised by that. So he and his brother were definitely somebody that, if we had delusions of getting in a breakaway, it was likely going to be with one of those two riders. They both are incredibly strong. Everyone locally around here knows that. So we definitely kept an eye on him. But it looks like Dempsey ended up with the flat, so he had to take a free lap there. So let's talk a little bit about the course. It's I don't know what to say about this course. It's kind of like a real crit course. It's got let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left-hand turns and 1 right-hand turn. So and it's got this little kicker right here that we're currently going up as well. That is, if I get my audio overlay correct and it times out with the video properly. And then this is a pinch point up here at the top. In the past, there's been a lot of crashes right there because everyone's trying to file in before they hit this downhill. And this is a downhill run right here. So I'll talk more about the course as we get around to the start-finish line. But you can definitely see that there's not really any shot at recovery in this course, but this is a place that I personally like to move up on this downhill, and this left-hand turn is really safe. You can wash out. People have done it before in the past, but if you're willing to kind of go hard on that downhill, you can usually make up a few spaces. This straightaway, forget about it. There's always guys trying to cram in on the left side and pull that inside move, which is so annoying. And then there's always a crash in turn 1. So that's turn 1 right there because everyone's always trying to shove their bike up the inside. And you can rest assured that if you're doing it to me, I'm probably going to close the door on you. Sorry, but not sorry. And then turn 2 is pretty wide open. You can usually stay on the gas. This stretch right here, it's flat, but it's usually really fast. And for some reason, it's just everyone. I notice when every year I do this race, I notice that that's a spot that people try to make a position, but it just tends not to happen right there for whatever reason. If you're a lightweight guy, this is your spot. If you've got a lot of power, this is also your spot. But it's usually so fast that it's like, it's almost always all for naught. But that climb hurts. You have to go up it so many times that it really starts to sting at the end of the race. If you look to the right, that's Ryan Holzberg right there. He's a local celebrity, and he also does a lot of modeling in his part-time job as well. Moving on, so like we hit the downhill again, and this is always like, I'm 181 pounds, so I'm going to sneak up every time. And you can see everyone takes this moment to rest and recover, and there's all this wide open real estate to choose from. So you don't even really have to be sketchy about it. You can just punch a little bit of power and move up 10, 15 spots almost every time. I'm giving away my secrets, but I'm not that good of a bike racer anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But that's a lot of time that people usually use for recovery. If you look at my heart rate, I'm at 167, so I didn't really get a chance to recover, but I'm not doing myself any favors by sitting in the back of the pack anyway. And, you're racing for a money spot, right? And for those of you who say you're not racing for money, quit lying. Yes, you are. if you're not racing for money, don't take that $20 bill home in that envelope at the end of the day. Everyone wants to try to make it in a money spot. It's just the truth. No, we're not out here racing as a career, but who doesn't want to make $10? So I'm going to try to get myself up into a money spot and keep moving forward, just like everyone else. And of course, everyone has their eye on the podium. So let's not kid ourselves here. So this turn right here, like, you can really go fast through that turn. And I don't know why people hit their brakes on that turn. You can just pretty much keep the throttle cracked wide open on that one. So going up the climb again, ouch, that hurts big time. But it's nice and smooth, really. There's nothing to really panic about except my heart rate, and that's a lot due to the heat, honestly. I think this was like the first time all year that I saw 170 on my heart rate monitor. So normally I'm going to sit in the high 160s when I'm racing, but today, not the case. Definitely, anytime it gets hot during the year, that's when I'll kind of break the 170s. 41 years old, so I don't have a super high heart rate. But yeah, so here we go. A little bit of squirreliness through that turn. Riders are just struggling to stay on that wheel in front of them. Everyone's punching it through here, which is always so funny because then they stop pedaling because they're scared of turn one, and then it bunches up inevitably, and then you're on the brakes, and then you got to jam out of this turn. So if you just open up a little gap, I don't know if you noticed, but I just opened up a little gap there before that turn. That's usually a pretty easy way to kind of get some recovery, and heart rate did come down a few beats there. So you don't have to fully panic on that. If you lose a spot, you'll usually only lose one or two. So it's usually not that big of a deal because everyone's going to cram brake in the Cat 3s. It's inevitable every time. So again, should be pedaling through this turn. No big deal there. I think that's Xavier moving up on the right. That kid's got a pretty, he and Malachi are super strong. When they can keep their bikes upright, man, they can really haul ass. They will be a force to be watching out for in the future, for sure. A couple of riders that come from Bike Club, then to the Oklahoma Flyers, and I think that's who they're riding for now. Sometimes they might pop on a Sound Pony jersey here and there. They're fun to watch race, though, for sure. So it's going pretty fast. I mean, we're doing 32, 33 miles an hour, slowing down for this turn a little bit, but I didn't move up any positions on that lap. It was just a little bit too fast. Nobody was really checking up on that one. And it's still early in the race, so, not super paranoid about getting up there too quickly. But, the goal is try not to lose any positions and just keep moving forward. I think the clock said we're about 13 minutes into this race at this point. So, just want to kind of, I think that guy tried to move up, so might have lost one position, but it looks like it pretty much just holding steady with where I am. I have no idea where Will is at this point. This field's so big that to try to race with team tactics with just two guys is pretty much useless. So, I'm not really concerned with what my teammate's doing today. If we had 3 or 4 guys or 5 in the field, then, we'd probably be looking around a little more and looking to burn some matches and not so much being concerned with all the normal stuff you do in a team. But we just want to try to survive this, honestly. So we're going to, just do our own thing, basically. So a big grouping here. This is pretty typical for this turn. And then super slow, and then boom, big power, of course, because everyone's going really slow. And the pointy end is still going fast. So that's always annoying when that happens. There's really no getting around it. So now we've all got to go flat out and get the speed back up. And this is what the whip getting cracked on you looks like, literally, right here. and I catch a glimpse of Will. I see this opening, so I'm going to take it. So I'm going to go right through the field, and that's Will there on my right-hand side. Another good-looking fellow. I'm off the power. You can see I'm like just steadily, and then boom, back on it as soon as we get through into that turn. But coming into that turn, rather than using your brakes, y'all, just stop pedaling. Like you can start coasting into that turn and just not touch your brakes, and you'll go faster through it. I promise. It's always crazy on turn one. I just can't figure out why it's a thing that everyone crams brakes in that one. Kind of the same way with this one. Just don't hit the brakes. Keep the power on as much as possible. And then that way you hopefully don't have to hit 1,000 out of the turn. It's pretty strung out here. So the front looks pretty motivated, but there's some swelling going on. So I'm going to take an opportunity to pick off another few riders, move myself up, and because I see them kind of, I don't want to say being lazy, but just taking the opportunity to rest up a little bit. So a few more spaces. So, spoiler alert, I did not do well in this race. Towards the end of the race, I could feel it coming on. So, I've actually had to go to the hospital from heat exhaustion before. It was pretty severe. I also had the flu at the time. So, it was a pretty bad deal. Anyway, I'm very, very leery of heat now. And also, a weird thing happens for me. My vision also gets affected whenever I overheat. I'm not sure what that's all about, but it's a problem. So I don't finish super well today. I guess that's what the spoiler is. So sad to say, I did not win this race. I've never won this race. Actually, I've had some pretty decent results here. I've raced it in the 1-2 field back in the day, and I've raced it several times in the Cat 3 and done okay in the 3s. I think the day that I was involved in the crash, they called it because it was one lap to go, and I want to say I finished like 6th or 11th or something like that. So definitely know how to be in the front on this race. But the heat just simply got me today. I want to say I had to drop out with like 12 or 13 laps to go or something and just go sit by my truck and try really hard not to throw up. It was really awful. So it went from really well to, which you'll see a little bit later, to really bad, like all at one time. So don't play around with the heat, y'all. It's no joke. And this is just amateur bicycle racing. So I know we all take it really seriously. But we do this just because we enjoy doing it. So none of us are pro. So everyone's looking good here. They're kind of taking it easy and they're off the gas. So doing a really good job. And so you can see it's pretty smooth out of the turn whenever you do that. You don't have to hit those crazy high numbers. Already off the gas again. Guy looked a little squirrely going through that turn, but he got it. So big bunching like that, and it's still pretty tight. I don't want to punch up too hard and try to really force my way in there because I know it's going to get kind of dicey through this turn. It always does. So that looked like an opportunity, but I just wasn't feeling it right then. Like it wasn't like we were too tired or anything, but there wasn't really much space to move. In the pro race, you could probably do that, but in the 3 race, there's a big variety of skill sets, so you have to kind of pick your battles wisely and not be too risky when you move up, because people aren't used to getting bumped and rubbed whenever you're going through them. In the 1-2 race and the P1 race, that's pretty typical, but in this one, that's when total pandemonium might occur. So there probably could have been some forward movement back then, but probably best just to play it safe on that one and just wait for a later opportunity. We still have a ways to go too. I think we're about 20, 21 minutes into the race right now, something like that. So there's going to be some tired legs. I know it. And I told people before we started this race, people are going to get popped from the heat. I just, didn't know it was going to be me. And it's true. I mean, like, I've been moving up, but if you look through the rear cam, there's not that many people behind me anymore. It's a long line, but it's pretty sparse. So I'm not actually sure what the finishing results were, but I remember looking at them and thinking, wow, I was definitely not the only one that DNF'd for sure. So, and I saw riders rolling out to their cars in my field while I was sitting there trying not to vomit or pass out also. So another small opportunity to pick a few more riders off. And you can see I'm doing 0 watts because I don't want to touch my brakes and add the power before I even get through the turn. And then zoom, right up onto the wheel in front of me. So you don't have to panic on those gaps before turns if you just trust your tires and trust your instinct and wait that outside pedal. You can usually just zip right up onto that wheel in front of you, especially in the 3 field. And, I know a lot of riders are new to the 3 field also. I've, been around since the Stone Age, so pretty used to doing stuff like that. But, those are moments that you just don't really have to panic. So one thing I noticed, and you'll probably notice if you're looking at my heart rate, is I just couldn't recover on the day. And that again, I'm going to attribute that a lot to the heat. Like normally, if I'm sitting into a pack, I can get my heart rate down to the low 150s, even high 140s sometimes. And you can see by the bunching in front of me that other people are probably feeling it now too. So, but there was just no real recovery on the day today. And that gets a little tight through there. And it just really started to wear on me as that heart rate just never came down. I don't know if you noticed that rider on the left, but he had a mechanical. That was really not a super smooth move. He tried to cram himself up the inside, had to cram a lot of brake, and then he shot himself right out the back of the pack. So, yeah, that's all I'll say about that. Now, see the power? It never dipped going through that turn. That's because you can pedal that whole turn. So you don't have to come off the throttle at all in that one. So just keep those cranks turning. Same there. Power stays on. there's a lot of high quality in this field. And I'm proud to say that I don't think that there were any crashes on this day, which I was, or at least I didn't see any. I'm really happy to report that because I had so much anxiety about going into this. I mean, like I said before, I was in that giant crash. I want to say like 50 or 60 riders went down. It was just heinous. And then the night before, Friday night in Blue Dome, there was, I forgot to turn my front cam on for Friday night. I do have the rear cam footage, and if y'all want me to post it, just comment below, and I will do that. But after seeing how Friday night went, and I described Friday night like I felt like I was in the Matrix and I was just dodging bullets in slow motion the entire race. I was really super nervous about today, but everyone seemed to be minding their P's and Q's and like playing the safe card. And I don't really know how everyone got on the same page and it was like actually kosher racing, but I was super, super pleased to see that. So, kudos everybody for, playing nice and playing fair and, for everyone getting home with all their skin. So at this point, I think we're about 27 or 28 minutes into the race. The heart rate's been staying right at LT for me. So definitely on the hurting end of things. But I figure if I'm hurting, so is everyone else. So any chance, again, pull up a few more spots. And now I can see the front pretty well. So I'm getting a taste of it. And can finally start to see the hard work paying off. And hopefully I can, find the front of this race. So take a look behind. Like there's quite a few riders still back there, but it's thinning out again. Like keep in mind, I've been moving up slowly throughout the race. I picked off another couple riders and the back of the field's not looking any bigger. So we're definitely seeing people, pull the plug essentially and really start to be affected by the heat essentially. Whew. Cut it a little close on the curb there. Made it through, no problem though. Nice. So everyone kind of lets off the gas a little bit. So I see an opportunity to creep up quite a few more positions. It's going to put me right into this fence. But that's okay because I still got like 20 positions to move up or whatever. And I got to give up one or two here. But got lucky on that one. Just saw an opportunity. But look at my heart rate. It definitely hurt. So that's problematic for me. I am well above what I'm capable of. So I'm going to have to recover at this point. So now I'm really hoping. So like I said, I'm 41. I did see my teammate Will earlier, and I know he should be somewhere near me. So he's like 24 or something, 23, 24. So I'm really hoping at this point that there he is right there. A lot more matches than I do. So he doesn't know it because we can't communicate because it's so maddening loud. There's all these carbon wheels making all this noise. It's really hard to communicate with each other, and we're not allowed to have radios. So I make the decision that I'm going to try my best to just do whatever I can to hopefully set him up. So we know who the key players are, and I know how bad I'm hurting. And at this point, I'm like, man, I'm probably not going to make it to the end because I've been, monitoring my heart rate, and I know what I'm capable of and for how long, and it's not looking good. So I do see Emerson starting to move up on the right-hand side right there, and his brother Dempsey is somewhere nearby as well, I believe, and Will's likely targeting him. But when you lock in on a rider in this race, sometimes it might not matter because you get the door shut on you, or someone blocks you, or the peloton just migrates, and you don't really have a lot of choice on how it happens. So I'm just kind of watching and see what's happening, and if anything threatening goes up the road, I'm at this point just kind of willing to sacrifice if I need to. But I don't know if I can. I mean, I'm still above 170 at this point, and the race, just like always, is not getting any slower, and it's not getting any cooler either. So look on the left. That's Emerson attacking. He's definitely a big threat for us, so I need to move up, and I see Dempsey right there. It's perfect setup for Dempsey to have his brother attacking off the front, and because all he's got to do is just follow Will's now. And like I said, he won Friday night, so alarm bells are going off. We can't just let that go because that is definitely a setup where he's going to probably be able to stick that. And that's Seth on the front right there. So I'm like, crap, we got to pull that back. So kind of throw a Hail Mary and go all in. And we're going to see the heart rate creep up again, 175. And, this is where an inch seems like a mile, basically. So I'm really, really ready for the next guy to pull through. He's pulling through. Thank goodness. So is the next rider. Next rider hesitates, opens up a gap. But now we've got them pulled back. And there's the key players. There's Seth. And here is Dempsey coming up on my right as well. So I'm going to try my best to move myself to the front and get ready for the counter. And Emerson decides that he's just going to set a high tempo. And I'm going to let him because I'm hurting something fierce, 178. I think that's the highest heart rate that we've seen in the race so far. So, the riders are going to come through. I'm going to find that first wheel to jump on that I can and tuck in and just pray for recovery at this point. But I'm hurting and I am hot. I mean, I also have glaucoma, so when sweat goes in my left eye, I can barely see out of my left eye. I can barely see out of my left eye. When sweat goes into my right eye, I can't hardly see anything. And I'm getting sweat in my right eye now. So if you ever see me, I'm always wearing a sweat gutter, which is super old man of me. I think, if you wear a sweat gutter, you probably should have to wear like Velcro shoes also. But if I get sweat in my right eye, it's like it's game over for me. I can't hardly see it all out of my left eye. So it's happening to me right now, and I'm like, oh crap, I can't see anything. So I'm racing a lot by feel. But as long as I feel like I'm not a danger to anyone else around me, then I'm good to keep going. But you can definitely see I'm struggling just to stay on wheels at this point. The heart rate still hasn't come below 170. So Emerson is just lighting it up at this point. And, we're getting closer to the end of the race. But everyone's totally content with him just sitting up there and pulling because it's a huge, look in the rear cam, it's single file. These guys are super strong. I've had to race them a lot locally. They're from Oklahoma City. I live in Norman. So, I'm used to having to race these guys, and this is really pretty typical for them. Like they can just line it out and set each other up all the time. But right here, I'm done. So pulling the plug, but figured I'd upload this, let you see kind of what it looks like to go from the back to the front and what the course looks like. from a front and rear cam standpoint, and there goes the rest of the race. So hope you enjoyed watching it, and if you want me to upload the rear cam footage from the Friday night race, let me know. I'll put it together and render it out. And I do have Sunday as well. So notice I'm on the brakes because I'm trying to stay out of everyone's way. I look behind me, it's clear. So now I'll go through. The moto is going to go through me, and I'm going to let them know. I always like to tell everybody, if you're dropping out of a race, like I've been racing for a long time, and dropping out of a race is just part of it sometimes. If you can, like, let the officials know when you go through, like, do the like throat slitting move or whatever, like give them some indication that you're out. That way they can just mark you off their list and there's no question mark in their mind. It's probably not as big of a deal at Tulsa Tough, but at smaller races, it's tricky. So give a heads up. Anyway, thanks for watching. And if you like what I'm doing, hit subscribe. It helps. Thanks. Bye.